I'm Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion
My
Power
name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. Happy season's greetings to everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. And I just want to tell you a little bit tonight about Source TV Radio Network and the Jazz Confusion Power Hour before I introduce you to tonight's special guest. The Jazz Confusion Power Hour was I created it about 5 years ago, and it was meant to bring you some of the best jazz artists and jazz recording performers anywhere. And I've had an illustrious group of artists, some new, some upcoming, some very accomplished over the years. But the purpose of the show is to bring you backstage so you get to see the artist up close. So you get to understand how they create the music that we all love and the dedication they have and the talent and years of training it takes to bring you this music. They just don't stand up and sing. I'm not sure if a lot of you who are tuning in tonight are aware of the painstaking process of either recording or performing on stage. But the purpose of the show is so you get to know the artist, and it gets you more up close and personal so you understand their music on a different level. Source TV Radio is a nonprofit 501c3. It's strictly devoted to two things. One is to adult radio, jazz and jazz crossover, commercial free. And we bring you jazz 24/7 and bring you again about 5 or 6 different shows, music shows, and also talk shows too that I know you'll find interesting and already has garnered a lot of public support. So I wanted to point out that because Source is a 501c3 nonprofit, we depend on donations from listeners like yourself, from sponsors, and also from the artists that we have on our show, because we mutually support each other that way. So remember, any donation you make to Source is tax-free. So we appreciate, if you're in the Christmas spirit, if you would make that donation to us at your leisure. Thank you so much. Let me tell you a little bit about the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. The Power Hour has had over 150 amazing guests over the past 5 years, some well-known and some becoming well-known, or some already very accomplished. Some of the artists on the Power Hour have included Eric Roberson, Mesa, Brian Culbertson, Paul Brown, Raheem Devon, Reagan Whiteside, Samara Joy, Alex Harris, Greg Adams, Tom Brown, Costella, Eric Darius, Pieces of a Dream, Kamasi Washington, Kiko Matsui, Kim Scott, Sheryl Crow, Billy Ocean, Annie Lennox, Maria Antoinette, Yulia, Blake Aaron, Celine Johnson, Mavis Swan Poole, the late Bobby Caldwell, Jeff Bradshaw, Dion Parson, Bob Cutarella, I apologize, Bob Cutarella, and also Jeff Beck, Eric Burden, and Mickey Howard, and many others. I wanted to run through the names so you get a good understanding of the kind of talent that we have on the Power Hour, and tonight is no exception. Tonight we have a very special guest for you, and it's our Christmas special to you. Named the Chicago Tribune's 2020 Person of the Year in jazz, the artist is an internationally recognized jazz vocalist and is currently artist in residence for the Music Institute of Chicago. Her powerful, sultry, and emotionally charged voice paints pictures and tells stories by merging classical vocal technique and gospel aesthetic with jazz to become a sound that is completely her own. What do renowned critics say about this great artist? Chicago Tribune's arts critic Howard Reich says that she has a voice that soars in all the registers, all tempos, and all occasions, a voice that inspires wonder. Alyce Claerbaut, president of Strayhorn Songs Publishing and mentor to this artist, said that she is a star with a one-of-a-kind voice. Cultural jazz critic Stanley Crouch says Her pitch is superb, clear on the top, startling at the bottom, while all the steps in between are polished with swing. Her shows are not to be missed. You've got to see this artist. She's a storyteller. She draws emotion and makes connections with her audience worldwide. Her warm delivery allows her audience to go on a musical journey with her, and her engaging personality imprints the memory of her performances in your heart. Inside Jazz Magazine music critic Nora McCarthy said, "She came bearing natural gifts, and with raw talent in hand, she stepped up to the mic and into the hearts of everyone in the room. As an educator, she believes singing is a part of every human community, bringing us together and helping us to interact with one another. Her teaching style meets the vocal student where they are, and all instructions has a classical foundation with a jazz focus. She has performed with such luminaries, including Ramsey Lewis, NEA Jazz Master Ron Freeman, John Clayton, Branford Marsalis, Joe Locke, Charles McPherson, Dee Dee Bridgewater, Carmen Bradford, and toured as a roulette with the great Ray Charles. She has thrilled audiences in festivals and clubs worldwide, from Bangkok, Thailand, to the Harrods Atticus in Greece, as well as the nation's premier concert and jazz venues like Carnegie Hall, Jazz at Lincoln Center, Birdland, the Blue Note, Dizzy's Club, Coca-Cola, and Chicago's own Jazz Showcase. So I want you to welcome tonight's special guest as a Christmas present to everybody, Tammy McCann."
Oh, Mel, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
Well, it's well deserved. I'm so glad you can share time with everybody, this close to Christmas. I think everyone's going to really enjoy all your music. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Tammy. I've had you on the show before, but some of the listeners tuning in tonight may not have seen your previous appearance. So tell them a little bit about where you grew up, how you came to want to have a career in music. Just give us some background.
Oh my goodness, how I came to want a career in music. I think that this is all very serendipitous. Like many kids, I sang in the choir at church, but I honestly thought I was going to be a psychiatrist. I guess in a way I am, right? I guess
That's right.
In a way I am.
You're a music therapist.
Yes, I'm a music therapist. And my teacher, Lena McLean, in high school, took note of my voice, and she felt very strongly that I should choose music as a career, specifically classical music. And she said, you're going to be the next Leontine Price. And I said, who's Leontine Price? Wow. And this is a reoccurring theme in my life, as you'll see. And so I did my first opera when I was 15. I sang in Italian, French, German, Latin, and I went on to college on a classical voice scholarship. While at college, about my sophomore year, I was walking down a practice room hallway and I heard this music wafting out of the practice room. And I said, wow, what is that? I thought it was experimental classical music. And I knocked on the door and the young man said, I said, what's that you're playing? And he said, oh, that's Thelonious Monk. I said, who's Thelonious Monk? And he looked at me like I was crazy. And my parents weren't jazz people. I didn't know who Duke, Ella, I didn't know who any of these people were, but that music captivated me in a moment. And I went back home to Chicago seeking it out, not even really knowing the format that it was in. So I didn't know big band from fusion, from AACM. I didn't know the differences. But as I sought out different spaces and was introduced to these different forms of jazz, I was like, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. And then I walked into a little club on the south side of Chicago, and there was Vaughn and George Freeman on the stage. And that was it for me. I had found my home, and it's where I have resided over, I'd say, the last, my goodness, almost 18 years. And I'm just so happy to be able to celebrate this music in an authentic way, which is all I've ever strived for.
Let me ask you a question. I know I don't want to try to pigeonhole you, but what subgenre of jazz would you say you're strongest with or the most comfortable with?
Straight ahead.
Straight ahead jazz. Okay.
Yes.
Why don't you define that for everybody?
Oh my goodness. How do I define that? I would say just that metered swing, right? That foundational Louis Armstrong metered swing. And I've been so blessed to be introduced to and nurtured by other, genre bending individuals, like Chicago is an originating space for the AACM. And Mr. Kahil Elzabar, one of its founders, has really kind of taken me under his wing and brought me into this improvisational space, which I must say really makes me so nervous and stressed out. But, he helps me push the boundaries. I remember he called me for a concert once and I said, why would you call me? He said, because I need somebody that knows classical and jazz. He said, because I'm about to paint a picture of something and I need both. And so I said, went to rehearsal and I said, so what's the lyrics? And he said, you're gonna, whatever you say.
That's
I
really
said,
improvisational, isn't it?
And I said, well, what's the melody? He said, whatever you say, whatever you sing. And I said, I don't understand what you mean. He's like, this is the groove. And so he plays the groove. And he said, now just sing what you feel. And I was like, oh my God, you are trying to kill me right now. I was nerve wracked. Okay. But it was extraordinary. And we've worked again several times and he's trusted me to come into his space and kind of clog myself through.
That's an improvisational way to learn to do improv.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm so excited that I've had that experience and it's helped me grow as an artist. Because classical is very formulaic, and then
Right.
jazz opens up just a little bit more, and then AACM just blows the doors off, right?
So what's AACM? Tell everybody.
I'm sorry.
What's AACM? Tell
Oh my
everybody.
goodness. I'm sorry that you're asking me this question because I don't know what it stands for.
Oh.
I guess I should. I've
All right.
only been told that's what it is. I'm sorry. You guys
Well,
must
that's no
forgive
problem. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's not ringing
me
a bell
too.
with me
Now
right
that you asked me the question, I better look it up.
I'm gonna look it up. I'll let you know. It's funny if somebody did that to me and said, "Sing whatever you want and use whatever melody you want," I would say, what am I missing?"
I did. That's exactly what I said. Like, I mean,
What do you mean?
I was a nervous wreck, but
Oh, that's
my
terrible.
inspiration.
That's the way you really learn improv, I guess. So tell me, what would you say was your first major performance that, when you look back at your career, kind of kicked everything off?
Wow, that is a big question. I feel like I've had several becomings, right? Initially, in the beginning of my career, I started in Europe. And I went over in the early 90s, or should I say the mid 90s, as a backup singer for a gospel group. And after performing and doing that tour, the booking agency offered me my own tour, and which I was very hesitant about. And I really kind of pushed back because I was like, well, no, I'm not a gospel singer. I'm a jazz singer. And they were like, oh, you're a gospel singer. And so I said, well, I tell you what, if you give me a jazz tour, I'll do a gospel tour for you. And they said, yes. So I was in Europe for several years touring with a gospel show and a jazz show. And then I got a record deal with an Italian label. So at that moment, that was extraordinary. Well, then coming to Chicago, I hadn't really sung jazz in Chicago. And so that was kind of a beginning. And then I got offered a record deal with an independent label here in Chicago. And so I think that if I were to think about the most impactful moments, it would be with people. And so it would be Von Freeman and Ramsey Lewis and John Clayton and Wynton Marsalis and Dee Dee Bridgewater and all these, and Ron Carter, all these amazing people who in the sphere of jazz I saw here in the beginning, and how now they have come into my intimacy and to my mentorship and to, at my advice and counsel. And that would be my most extraordinary accomplishment, is being able to get the respect of those people that I respected for so long.
Okay. You told us two really great stories, one about how you came to music and how you actually became a performer and what was important on that journey. But I have a question that I really never ask artists, but I'm going to ask you. If you had to pick out one song from all the songs you've ever done, which one do you love that you did?
Oh, come on. That's like picking your children.
Come on. What's the one that stands out in your mind, that first comes to your mind that you sang? Doesn't have to be the best, but which one comes right to your mind?
Send in the Clowns.
Okay, and tell us why. It's a great song.
Because I think in all the music that we do, it's the story, right? And I always talk about how some of these songs were written 100 years ago. I mean, if those of us that play in the jazz genre, some of these songs are 100 years old. But the stories are just as relevant today as they were when they're first written, right? And so that's really a foundational thing that I stand on as a musician, as someone that really wants that give and take with the audience. I want them to go on a journey with me. I want them to, I want to draw out a memory. And so that song for me allows me to do several things. Number one, it allows me to really explore my vocality and share with the audience kind of what I can do vocally. And also the story is so fascinating, right? So I was introduced to this song by an amazing woman, KT Sullivan, who is the executive director of the Mabel Mercer Foundation in New York City. And she asked me about coming to sing for their annual cabaret convention. And she said, Send in the Clowns, Sondheim. And I was like, oh, absolutely. Of course, I did not know Sondheim. I did not know. I did not know this song at all. And so she said, I want you to sing this song. And I said, yes, ma'am. And so I went to explore this song. And so the story is about two people who were they met, there was this electricity. And then, they went on to separate relationships. But I think always feeling like they had each other in each other's rearview mirror. Well, fast forward to, them being released from those other relationships to come together. And one of them is like, oh, wow, now we can finally be together, right? And the other was like, well, I don't know if that's really what I want to do. And so the person's like, wow, isn't this rich? Aren't we a pair? Me here alone on the ground and you in midair, and this revelation that I've been living in this completely different space all this time. And, we were never really on the same page. And man, I mean, that song just touches me every single time.
So where do you think Sondheim got the title for Send in the Clowns?
Because, that this was, I think that to him, this was like this, that the person felt like they were in this circus. They were just spinning around and so like lost in what they thought things were going to be.
I've always thought of that song as a three-ring circus. The first time they met, the middle period when they're apart, and the last part when they're trying to come back together again.
Yeah,
that's why you can Send in the Clowns. I thought of that, But
that is a good way of thinking of it. That is a good way of thinking of it.
That's a great song to choose.
It's a fantastic song. It's a fantastic song. It's a fantastic story. I love singing it.
Well, let's play some of your music for everybody. That's what I think everybody's waiting to hear. And the first song that I want to play tonight is called "You Ain't Gonna Love Me." So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about the backstory in this song, and we'll play it.
So Kevin Beauchamp was the owner of Catalyst Records. He gave me my first record contract here in the United States. And he wrote this song and allowed me to help him write it. And it's the story. Oh, and Henry Johnson did the music. This was my second record in the United States, and Henry Johnson produced it and did all the arrangements. An amazing guitarist, and the way that I sing today is because of Henry Johnson. He helped me shape and craft my voice to where I could be authentically a jazz artist and find my own voice, you know. And so anyway, the story is of, you know, this relationship, this marriage. I see it as a marriage where you are consistently trying to turn yourself inside and out to serve this person who it seems everything is not enough, you know, and no matter what I do, you know, it's not going to, you ain't gonna love me anyway. So what's the point? And that's the song. Great
backstory on that. Wonderful. Let's play this for everybody now so they can hear your marvelous voice. This is Tammy McCann, "You Ain't Gonna Love Me."
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Why should I write you letters? Why should I try to change? Why should I say I love you every day? I have tried to make you happy. I have tried to change my way. I have tried to do everything you say, but you ain't gonna love me. You ain't gonna love me. You ain't gonna love me. Anyway, I think we can make it better. I think we can work it out. But I can't be in love, oh, by myself. I have tried to talk it over. I have tried to make it right. I have tried, but there's no more left to say. You ain't gonna love me. You ain't gonna love me. You ain't gonna love me, no. Anyway, I can climb the top of a mountain. I can beg on bended knee. I can turn night into day. Why go through these changes when in the end you ain't gonna love me anyway? I think you might be crazy. I think you lost your mind. I think you better go on your way. You ain't gonna love me. You ain't gonna love me. You ain't gonna love me. think that might be a one-take baby.
Wow, that is great. That is great. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a 4-octave voice. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's really, it's so evident, you know. Yeah, and you know what I really find wonderful about your voice, when you hit the high range or the low range, you're never pitchy. Your voice is clear. You know, it's just, you have a really wonderful voice, and that's a great song. And that came from an album that you had put out?
Yes, Never Let Me Go. That was my second album in the United States under Catalyst Records.
Where can people get a copy if they want it?
They can go to TammyMcCann.com.
Okay, terrific.
And you can get a digital download or you can get a hard copy.
That's wonderful. Okay, I'm curious, you know, you have a project you're working on currently? Is there one?
You know, it's interesting. I recently released a record called Do I Move You in 2023. Right. And we were still, I think we were in the mixing process. And one of the producers was John Clayton. It was also produced by Fareed Haq, extraordinary guitarist. And I said to Mr. Clayton, I said, is it odd to be thinking of your next project before you're even finished with the current one? He says, absolutely. So I was starting to think that I was crazy or just really not appreciating like the moment that I was sitting in. But, you know, at any given time, I think as musicians, we have so many ideas, but it's when the music meets the moment and then also the monetary support, you know, to create it and put it out. There's so many things that need to happen. And so I have several ideas, but I think what's kind of moving to the surface is a tribute to my cousin, Les McCann.
Okay. Why don't you tell us?
That's really moving to the surface right now.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're thinking about with that project?
You know, initially I was working on another project. And you know, my research of songs, and I found this song called With These Hands. And it was the record that I did in 2014 with Lawrence Hobgood. And the record was called Love Stories. And so I was really digging through, just finding different love songs, different ways to express love. And I found this song, With These Hands, by Les. And I said, wow, this is such an extraordinary way this is how a man loves, right? And though the song didn't make the record, it was always had it in my back pocket. It was always in the back of my mind that, you know, I really want to do this song. And so after he passed away, I felt more of an urgency to create something in tribute to him, and in tribute to how he was so kind to me and advised me. And so I started doing deeper research about him. And in doing research about him, I realized that he also was passionate and actually discovered Roberta Flack. And the digger, you know, the more you go into the rabbit hole, right? So the more you dive in, the more you see not just kind of where he ends, she begins, kind of, and there's this wonderful interplay with her ideas and his, and so it's evolved to kind of a tribute to them both, right? Mm-hmm. Their love for each other, their love and respect for each other, and their music as it stands alone. So that's kind of it right now.
I have another project for you, and I think it would be fabulous. What? You can call it Give Me a Hand, which has a dual meaning, and you should do songs that people sang about hands, like Bill Withers' Grandma's Hands. The Beatles did Hands Across the Water. It could be, there's so many great songs about hands. I don't know if you ever thought about it.
There's so many great songs, period, about everything. I was just doing a gig in Baltimore, and I said, "Are you guys aware of how many songs have been written about love?" And I said,
millions,
all of them.
hundreds of thousands, yeah.
All of them have been written. How do I get it? How do I get rid of it? Where did it go?
But there are so many great songs, like I said, about hands. The Clark sisters, gospel, they did a song all about Jesus's hands. And, and no one's done that, but I think it could be such an eclectic, interesting kind of an album. So put that in the back of your mind. I want you to do it.
I'm gonna take that and put that right in my pocket. There's a big basket of ideas that I have, and I'm gonna take it and keep it.
Well, you should definitely do Bill Withers' Grandma's Hands. You would kill that song.
I did that song.
Oh, you did?
Yes, on my Do I Move You record.
Oh, terrific. I must have missed that, because Bill Withers is one of my favorite.
I love that song.
Artists.
That's a fantastic song. And the Do I Move You record was really kind of a testament to being, I called it that because I really wanted to move people. It evolved out of COVID, and we were not just physically sequestered from each other. I feel like we were emotionally sequestered as well. And I really wanted people to feel things, whether it was, we had lost so many grandmas and grandpas unnecessarily. And so that was in tribute to my grandmother and all the other grandmothers out there that we wish we still had holding our hands. And there were a myriad of other songs in there that I really felt would just open people's heart and make them feel again, when you mentioned COVID, I don't know, this just occurred to me. We lost over 1 million people in this country alone to COVID. But the Spanish influenza in 1918, globally, 35 million people died, more than all people in World War I. So when you look back at COVID, we look at it as a difficult time, but God knows how much worse it could have been. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's go to another one of your songs, and I want people to hear all of your music tonight that we have. The next song that we have is called "Feeling Good." Why don't you tell people a little bit about the backstory of "Feeling Good"?
"Feeling Good" is off the record of 2023 called "Do I Move You." The CD was produced by John Clayton and Fareed Haq here in Chicago, independently by me and Io Canto Music. And it wasn't even supposed to be on the record. As you go through the recording process, there are peaks and valleys, there are intentions of, we're going to go this way, or we're going to play it, we're going to approach a song this way. And this was a valley moment, and we're in the studio and it's very stressful. And my bassist, John Sutton, who's absolutely fantastic here in Chicago, said, "Hey, Tammy, what about doing this song that he and I had done in a whole other context?" And he's like, I feel like it matches the feeling and the intention of the record, and let's just try it. And so this is Nina Simone's "Feeling Good."
Okay. Yeah. Just a word about songs that were never intended to be on an album but ended up on them. There's a great Rod Stewart story. They needed one more song for his album, and he sent in a song that they listened to, and they said, this is nothing. It has, it's just boring. It really is nothing. And Rod Stewart kept insisting the song that he got on the album that they didn't want to put on was Maggie May.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Can you imagine if they didn't put that out?
Wow.
Yeah. So much, for people's wisdom about what goes on an album, what shouldn't go.
That part.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's play Tammy McCann's very special song, "Feeling Good."
birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossoming tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life. I'm feeling good, good, good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean. Butterflies having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace till the day is done, that's what I mean. This old world is a new world and a bold world for me. Stars in the sky when they shine, you know how I feel. Scent of a pine, you know how I feel. Freedom is mine, that's how I feel. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life. Oh, it's a new dawn, a new day, a new life, yeah. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life, and I'm feeling good.
That was such a great song, Tammy. You know, that came from the roar of the crowd, the song, the musical, the roar of the crowd, something about grease paint. That was done in, that was a song from that play in 1964, the musical. And then Nina Simone did it in 1965. And then it's been, I think Michael Bublé did it.
Oh, wow.
In 2005, and John Legend has done it. You know, the song has gotten attention. You know, it's a great song. You did such a great job with that song, and you sound so much like Nina. It's amazing. I've heard her sing this song several times. And,
oh,
you know,
wow.
you know, you just did a great job with that song.
Thank you so much. I love that song. It completely re-energized the recording, the moment, the studio. And like you said, songs that had no intention. I had the same thing with a record I did with Love Stories with Lawrence Hobgood. We had finished the record. Everything was done. And we were both sitting there looking at each other like, something's missing. And so we went back. He said, you go home and write a list of 5 songs. I'll go write a list of 5 songs. We'll send them to each other and we'll see which sticks. And so like Someone in Love was on both of our lists. So he wrote an arrangement. He wrote an arrangement that night. We came back into the studio and recorded it the next day. And so it ended up on the record. It's one of my favorite.
That's great. That's the way a lot of music occurs. You know, it's not planned. It's serendipitous, as you said before.
It's the best.
Okay, I got another question for you. There must be something in the back of your mind that would be a crowning achievement. What would you want to do or sing or appear? What would be the paramount moment you could have in the future in your career?
Mm.
Maybe working with an artist that you'd love to work with. What would it be?
That is really an interesting question because oh my gosh, honestly, and this is honestly, I think the main thing that I've ever wanted to do was really just make a living doing what I love. And that's something that still continues to blossom, right? You know, yesterday I was in Baltimore. 2 days ago, I was in Baltimore at the Keystone Corner, High Tide Barking. And that was an extraordinary thing because I'd never been to Baltimore. And here were these 100 people that had never heard of me, but were like, I'm going to go and see what this girl is talking about, right? And so that's this wonderful gift where people are like curious. They see a snippet, they hear a little something, and that makes them kind of walk in the door. But what makes them stay is what you're doing on that stage, right? And so, you know, they were into the music. We were exchanging energy. You know, I got a standing ovation. And so that is that moment when I walk off the stage and I go to shake everybody's hand and just say, thank you. Thank you for just taking a chance and coming out to see somebody you never heard of before, you know? And so I have that, honestly, I have that feeling every night, you know, when somebody chooses me, when somebody chooses to, they hear my music and they choose to bring me to create energy. So that moment in Greece at Herod's Atticus, when I'm standing on this stage that was built in the 1400s, you know, 1400 AD, you know, that moment when I'm standing on stage at Rose Hall at Jazz and Lincoln Center with, you know, Wynton Marsalis's Jazz and Lincoln Center Orchestra, you know, that moment when I'm standing in the studio with John Clayton. You know, I mean, there have been so many moments, and I feel like God is continuing to bless me and put me in spaces and places where I have these moments like you, Mel. Oh my goodness. You know, I mean, you asked me, did I want to come and be on your show? And you introduced me to such a wonderful arc of people. And so I'm blessed every day with such amazing opportunities. I feel like to say, if this thing happened, then, you know, that would be great. Every day, something wonderful happens. So, I'm really not trying to be cagey. I'm just like,
no. You know, look, I can tell you something just as a personal anecdote. I've written a lot of articles. I've written several books, and I write to the New York Times regularly. And you know, sometimes somebody will quote something I said, and I'll see it, and I'll say, "I said that? Whoa!" And you know, I said, "That's pretty good." I can't. And you know, you surprise yourself with some of the things that you've done that you just kind of take for granted sometimes. And and you know, it's those moments that really tell you that you've done something.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, it's those moments. Absolutely. And so to have people, you know, that you have, you know, revered and looked up to come say, you know, kid, you made it happen. I remember I met, oh my God, Benny Golson. I met Benny Golson. I was singing at this it's called the Red Rooster in Harlem. With
I know
oh my God, Keith Loftus, marvelous saxophonist, and I was sitting in with him, and so I came off the stage, and he and his wife called me, you know, to the table. You know, who are you? What's your name? Where are you from? And his wife said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Chicago." She said, "Where are you really from?" And I said, "Mississippi." And she said, I knew it. And, you know, later on, he told my management, he was like, "Who is that girl and she told him who I was, and he said, she's exciting. And I'm like, okay, thank you very much. I can die now. You know?
Yeah,
Benny Golson.
Yeah, I know. That's like, that's the old adage. You can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl.
And people that have that eye,
yeah, exactly.
Like, no, tell me where you're really from.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when things like that happen, when Stanley Crouch, says, kind things about me and the work that I've done, if you know from where I came, I could testify right now about God's blessings. To know from whence I come, and to have, that those people speak those words about me. I mean, every day is.
Tammy, it's funny, when I consider my humble beginnings, and I came from a working class family, but they had middle class cultural values. But I consider what I've done and where I've been, and the journey. It's a marvel to me. It's something I never would have anticipated anytime.
Yes.
So you look back at it, retrospectively, and you say, man, I have a lot to be happy about.
Absolutely.
I mean, nothing's ever perfect, but there's plenty of markers along the way.
Yes,
that
sir.
So let's play another marker, another song of yours. Okay, because I want to get to the final song tonight, which is your Christmas gift to everybody. So let's play the song "Do I Move You?" That's from your album.
Yes, that is the title track by Nina Simone. And this is another interesting story. So we finished the record. We're finishing up the record. We're going to go back in and record a couple more songs. And we still don't have a title. I was thinking of, Fareed and I were going back and forth. What do you think about this? We were like, Southside folk tales or something like that. I mean, we were thinking of everything. We'll throw it up against the wall. So I'm driving, and this song comes on the radio, WDCB radio in Chicago. And I'm like, that's it. That's it. And so I call the radio station. I'm like, what is that song? Who sings that song? And they tell me. And I send the song, I send the sound file, the YouTube out to everybody in the band. And I said, hey, I need a chart for this. We're going to do this. And this is going to be the name of the record, because this is what it's about. It's about several things. It's about me reclaiming my origin story, as a classical singer. And I was told to remove myself from my gospel influences. I had to hone in on this classical sound. And so I took that mindset into my jazz. And so jazz sounds like this. It doesn't sound like gospel. It doesn't sound like blues. It sounds like this. But as I developed as a musician, I found that, who I am is that classical. My influences, I call it my musical marinade, is blues, is gospel, is classical. And it's okay to inform my jazz with that. And so that's what I discovered out of COVID. I rediscovered myself. COVID gave myself back to me.
Wow, that's great.
And so this "Do I Move You" is a testament to that authentic Tammy sound, that, this is who I am, and that's okay. And it's still jazz,
Well, let's hear that authentic Tammy sound. "Do I Move You" by Tammy McCann.
Do I move you? Are you willing? Do I groove you? Is it thrilling? Do I soothe you? Tell the truth now. Do I move you? Are you loose now? The answer better be yeah. That pleases me.
Are you ready for this action? Does it give you satisfaction? Are you hip now to what I'm saying? If you are, then let's start swaying. The answer better be yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. That pleases me. When I touch you, do you quiver? From your head down to your liver. If you like it, baby, let me know it. Don't be psychic, or you blow it. The answer better be yeah, 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 yeah. That pleases
Wow, that is such a great blues song.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
You
my
do-
first time really singing blues.
You do blues so well. You know, it's the range of your voice. You know how you can transform into different genres. It's just a special talent. You know, and it's just wonderful listening to you. You know, we're running out of time, and I want to close out the evening with your Christmas gift to everyone. Okay, it's a special song. And why don't you tell people where you performed it and just the background?
Thank you so much for inviting me with you this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry, this evening. And Christmas is my favorite season of the year. If it was up to me, I'd have Christmas in July. And I would go around doing shows in July about Christmas. These songs are so filled with memories. They're filled with joy and happiness, and a time when it seems the time when we are most connected to our fellow man. You know, right now, we definitely need a healing. And there's so much that brings us together that rather than what separates us. And this is an arrangement by myself and my longtime pianist, Mr. Tom Vyatzis. And this is Let It Snow.
It's a wonderful, wonderful song. So let's hear this song by Tammy McCann performed live.
Performed at Dizzy's, performed live at
Thank you.
Dizzy's just this Christmas. So this was December the 10th. So this is hot off the presses, ladies and gentlemen.
So I'm being the first to play this nationally.
That's right.
Wonderful. Okay, this is a special treat for everybody. This is Tammy McCann, Let It Snow.
Weather outside is frightful. Fire, it's so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow. Let it snow. Let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping. I bought some corn for popping. Let's turn the lights way down low. Let it snow. Let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight. How I hate going out in the snow. If you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be The fire is slowly dying, my dear. We're still goodbying, but if you still love me so, let it snow. Let it snow. Let it snow. Let it, let it,
Wow. That's a wonderful tribute to everybody for Christmas. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody.
Thank you.
You know, when you mentioned, Let It Snow and a song for the season, one of the songs that I've always loved, I always play for myself Christmas time, is the Birds song, Turn, Turn, Turn. Do you know that song?
No, I don't. You have to share it with me.
I'm going to. It's a wonderful song. It's about all the seasons of life. And
I'm actually thinking of another a record called Seasons, where I sing songs that are in autumn, talk about winter, talk about fall, talk about summer, spring. Yeah.
Well, this song would be great for you to think about because he talks about all this seasons, spring, summer, fall, as seasons of life. As you go through the life cycle.
That is good.
It was done in the 70s. It's a beautiful song. So we'll share that one together. Tammy, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out tonight to be with everybody, on the eve of Christmas, and everybody got to hear, Let It Snow, which is a fabulous time of the year song. And I just can't thank you enough for being on the show.
Mel, thank you so much for your kindness and generosity and for all that you do, that you give to the industry and to us artists. We so appreciate you and thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
Oh, shoot. Thank you, Tammy, so much. That's so nice of you. If you want to stick around after the show for a few minutes, we can chat.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Well, I want to say good night to everybody. I hope everybody has a very, very, very wonderful Christmas. And we'll be back with another edition of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. Good night, everybody. Well, Albin, I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion Power
My name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.